Hello, hello, and hi, I'm Annabelle, wild and wise woman, life expansion expert, and welcome to Quintessence What is Your Magic, the podcast that brings the magic of all with us, and especially how we can help others find their own magic. I hope that you believe in magic because I do believe in magic and miracles. This is exactly what we are creating here in this podcast, Magic and Miracles. And today I want to introduce to my special guest, Kate Harlow. Kate is the founder of the Unscripted Woman, the creator of the expanded love coaching method, and host of the New Truth podcast, ranked top 1.5 globally. Well done, Kate. Oh my God. So many people give up. You don't. Well done. And with over 17 years of experience teaching, coaching, and facilitating transformational retreats worldwide, Kate has helped hundreds of thousands of women break free from the outdated relational pattern, old patriarchal ways of thinking and unspoken rules to live by. Her infallible method guides women to release a deeply ingrained script that keep them stuck, empowering women to step into their highest, most magnetic and fully express selves. Through her coaching, retreats, podcast, and upcoming book, The Unscripted Woman, Kate is redefining what it seems to be an empowered woman in today's world, showing women how to stop waiting for permission and start creating a life and love that aligns with their deepest truth. And Kate was my mentor when I first came in this world, and I moved from feeling really being in the darkness to bring back hope in my life. So welcome, Kate.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. So happy and excited to be here.
Yes, so let's chat about how I really want to bring, the miracles and the miracle and the magic that we've had. How we came together. I was looking for a retreat and for women, and then you came from Canada to Australia. And you didn't come just to Australia, you came to Sydney, and you didn't just come to Sydney, you came into my suburb, a small suburb on the Northern Beaches. And it was like, oh, I think she's coming for me. And it was just for me. So tell us about that trip and, how you did it.
That is so true that it was just for you, actually, because you are the only one. Like, of course, it was an amazing weekend for all the women that came, but you're the one who came and came along for the ride to go deeper with me. So that was not on my radar. I lived in Australia in my early 20s, and I always had a fond, loving place for it in my heart, but it was not on my radar to go back anytime soon. And I think that was either 2018 or 2019. I just finished the immersion. I think it was 2018.
2018.
And the immersion is my signature program that I do with women at a live event in Greece. And I just finished it. And there was a woman there from Australia who I met when I lived in Australia in my 20s. And she and I stayed Facebook friends. And we ended up connecting one day. And she said, I love what you're up to. I want to learn more. And then she came to the immersion in Greece. And so my best friends were heading to Australia right after I was in Greece. I was back in Canada, and this is November. And my best friends, in like a week or two, they were about to head to Australia. And they said, why don't you come with us? And I said, well, maybe if I could make it a work trip, let me reach out to Courtney and see if I can do a workshop and she could to her friends, see if she can help me organize something. I went to sleep that night. I hadn't reached out yet. The next morning, I woke up to an email from Courtney saying, oh my gosh, I loved having you. I loved being with you in Greece. I feel so different. Would you be open to coming to Australia one day and doing a workshop for me and my friends? My friend has a beautiful house. She loves to have events there, and she'll help us put it together. And I responded and was like, let's hop on a call. And we planned it. And 2 weeks later, I was in Sydney, Australia, in the northern suburbs doing a workshop for, I think, 19 or 20 women. And you
Yes.
were one of them.
I know, and it was big, and it was really big. And on my side, you were the one I've been waiting for. And so
Ah.
that's your side of the story, the cosmos comes and everything, happens. Just thinking, putting the intention. On my side, my saboteur was at it, for me not to go there. And the day before, I had a really bad fall at my neighbor's, and I fell with my phone in my hand, and I scraped my fingers on on the stone, like to the bone. It was really bad. And so the morning I'm there, looking after my hand and going, oh, I shouldn't go, I can't do it, I can't do it. And then there was the dilemma already. Yes, you've got to go. And no, no, don't go. And yes, go. And, and at the end, I just did it and I came. And I remember resonating with every word you were speaking that day. Like really, really resonating with every word. And so that was a miracle. But the miracle was that I was strong enough to not give way to my saboteur, which a lot of people
Yes.
do.
And it's such a good point because every time we're going to expand in a new way, in any way, your saboteur will, and your saboteur is the voice in your head, your conditioning, your fear-based conditioned self. That's not you. We've been taught to fear the light. We've been taught to fear our growth, our expansion, all of who we are. We've been taught to stay small and tiny and in a box and follow the rules and be a good girl. So that is an indicator. I always say to my clients and the women that listen to my podcast, I always say, when you hear the fear-based voice that's like telling you all the reasons why you shouldn't go to this thing that you feel resonant with in your body, that's the door to open because you're more of who you are and your soul is on the other side of that.
Yes. And so since then, I came to the retreat, but it was all magical because, I went to Europe in May and then I went back in October and had a lot of beautiful things happen. And at first, quite bad things were happening, and I was really, scared. And you keep saying, trust, trust, it will all come together at some point. And it did. And it was beautiful. And so I had this amazing time in Greece where I became Annabelle. So that was on my door, and I remember how my body was talking to me and was so, every time I would walk through that door, I would have a, I am Annabelle. There was this every day, every moment of the day that I walked into that room, I became Annabelle. And I did, I got out of there and I became Annabelle. I did the change of names and I use it as my author name, and working name. I haven't changed officially, and I wouldn't do that. But I think I'm the only one from all the women that you have been mentoring that's, done that.
Yeah, just to explain for those that don't know the expanded love method, what it is women name their conditioned self, who you've been behaving as thinking it's you, and you get to know that part of you because it's not you, it's the voice in your head and it's your conditioned self. And then you give your soul a name. So you choose because our parents chose our name. It's not even something that we chose. And the point of it is not to change your name, but of course you did and I did. I found
Yes.
my heroine before. That's the whole other story. But of course, before I birthed this method, I went through the journey myself and became the heroine. And it's about becoming the heroine of your life. And so in my work, the expanded love method, you name your heroine, which is your soul self, your sovereign woman, your whole self. And I think, yeah, you might be. Although there's a lot of women inside of the reclamation and immersion community, from all my programs, they're all very connected to each other, especially now more than ever because you did it before COVID. So now I have a lot of online communities. So
Yes.
everyone, whether they did the immersion in 2021 or they did it in 2025, they're all so connected, and everyone calls each other by their heroine names to this day. It doesn't matter when they did it, and they come back again and again and do the programs again and again. And it's this beautiful place where it's like when someone calls you by your heroine name, even if you haven't changed your name, the whole point is to not change your name, but to like have access to this more expansive part of yourself. When someone calls you by that name, it's a reminder to rise into who you truly are. And we're so bombarded with fear-based messages that it's so easy and seductive to stay in our small selves. And so that's why for you, the journey's been, I mean, watching you shift from who you were and what your life looked like when I met you to who you are and what your life looks like now, it is like night and day. And how beautiful that you got to claim, like, actually, I'm Annabelle. This is who I am fully.
Yes, and it is a renaissance fully because I feel like,
Yes.
I've gone through this journey of rebirthing myself as a new person and coming back to France as a new person and attracting all that I need to have here. I bought a new home and new community and everything's flowing. It's not easy all the time and I have my hard time as well. But yeah, life is very different. And what's mostly different is how I feel within myself. So thank
Yes.
you to guide me because I think we worked together for a little while until I separated, and that was the big one to to go with it and to say yes, I need to separate. So, but everybody doesn't have to, please. But that was for me, and I didn't know when things will finish. And sometimes you live story that's so intense, and you feel like you just want to get that going. But sometimes it lives for a while, and then it's finished. And when it's finished, the energy kind of dives, and if you're with someone, it has to come from both sides as well. And if it doesn't, well, finitude, making
Yeah, my friend Mariana and I ha made up a phrase, evolve or dissolve. Like as we
yeah,
evolve into alignment with all of who we are and we stop living the lie and we bring our fullest expression to our relationship, it allows, and to our friendships, to work, to every
yes,
aspect of life, is like what naturally occurs is people fall out of your life, they dissolve, or they rise with you and they evolve with you. And over the years, I mean, gosh, I've coached so many women in relationship at the end of the rope. I have one woman who it was amazing when I met her. We've worked together the last 3 years off and on quite a few times. She's come to Greece, she's come to Kenya with me, where I also do retreats. And her husband and two boys came to Kenya. I met all of them. They're the most special family. And when I met her, she and her husband were separated and they were having a really hard time. They were about to get divorced. And she had her rebirth, she had her awakening. She fully reclaimed who she really is, brought this new version to her family. Her husband fell deeper in love. They reestablish a new relationship, and now they have the most beautiful relationship, growing and evolving, and their whole life is, they just bought a farm. Like their life just keeps getting richer and deeper and more expansive, and their boys are incredible, and the whole family has a deeper, more meaningful relationship. So that's possible, and sometimes it illuminates that the relationship you're in is just complete.
yes. And so when it's complete, it's complete.
It's
And
complete, and
miracles
there's nothing
can,
wrong with that.
no, and
Yes,
and then
yes.
miracles can happen. So tell me about all the miracles that happened to you with COVID and going to live in Greece and then now going to live in Kenya. And your life is so full. And I don't know, it's full and it's flowering and it's really beautiful. And the way you evolve with it and with so much grace. And I love that.
Oh, thank you, love. Yeah, I mean, this is the Unscripted Woman. That's where the name came from. I only changed my brand, and my book is also called The Unscripted Woman. Used to be, I think it's had many iterations. It's actually my 10-year anniversary of this work. I was
Yeah.
coaching in a different realm before this, but 10-year anniversary. And the Unscripted Woman came from me realizing, like, oh, that's the key and that's really what I help women do, is untether from the script of who they've been taught to be so they can really live a life that's aligned with their own heart and soul. And that's been my own journey. So during COVID, at the time, I was only doing live events for my business. All of my clients came from me doing little talks. I did them in Vancouver, Calgary, Toronto. I'm from Vancouver. And I did them some in the States, Washington. And then the one I did in Sydney, Australia, same thing. It was like my talk, but because I was going so far, I turned it into a weekend event. That was really fun. I want to do stuff like that again, actually. I'm just
It
going to
is.
plant that seed for the universe because that was really fun coming and doing that weekend with you guys, you queens. So COVID happened, and I remember at first, feeling the feels and then rooting into myself because I have so many practices that help me do so, and everyone's freaking out. And I remember getting on the Facebook group because at the time that's all we had for the heroine community. And I got on all the women that had worked with me and I said, this is for something. I know it. Like this is an opportunity. Either we go into the fear and we get smaller, or we expand. And I kept standing for that for the women I was working with at the time. And so I did the same for me. And got on a call with a friend, an old friend. I met her like 10 years before. I hadn't seen her in a long time. And she was like, I'm doing a business mastermind. You should join. So I joined this little mastermind with these amazing younger women who are all up to really cool things. Got on this call with them. We each did a hot seat for each other. And my hot seat was about like, what do I do now? And I just started the New Truth podcast. Like, how divine was that? January 2020, podcast took off. When I started, there were only 600,000 in the entire world. So it could not have been a more perfect time for that. So the podcast was going, but I wasn't attracting clients from it yet. It was just still so new. And so I was like, I can't do talks anymore. Obviously, I have this podcast, but I need something else. And what was birthed in that hot seat on that group, on that mastermind, was my expanded love masterclass. I'm actually going to do one really soon, but where I teach the 5 saboteur archetypes. And the expanded love masterclass, the first one I did, I actually filled the next immersion. It was July COVID, and the next immersion was supposed to be May, but actually it got moved because of COVID. But it was supposed to be May 2021, and I filled the entire immersion just from that one masterclass because it was so potent, and women felt so understood by me explaining their patterns in the way that I did. And so then the masterclass became one of my signature free things that women from the podcast and women, who were working with me could share it with their friends and help women understand why they were struggling so much in their love lives and their dating and relationships. And so the masterclass was born. I've done them 3 times a year since 2020. And then from there, I created the Reclamation, which is my online version of the immersion. Yes. And it's like so complimentary. So the women who come to the immersion in Greece also have this online self-study program to work through. And we did that. Originally, I did it in a group on Zoom, in intimate groups. And so got to go really deep with that. And then that has evolved. And now it's a 3-month program. I offer doing it live once a year, and all my clients do it over and over and over and over again because I let them do it for free again and again, the live part. And so it's so sweet. These women who've been on the journey for like 6 years, and they're like, oh my gosh, my life has changed so much. And there's always more. Like, they're always hungry for more. So it's like my entire business model evolved, and it needed to evolve to the online world. But it wouldn't have happened if COVID, like, I don't think I would have had the urgency to actually create it. I probably would have been like, one day, the saboteur would have been like, one day. So it actually lit a fire under my feet to create this thing that was totally needed to deepen this work.
Amazing. Yes. And, online has been such a wonderful thing to meet. Like, we've been staying in contact online, Facebook,
Yes.
Instagram, we talk messages, and it's wonderful. And we can help others doing that. Now,
Yes.
tell me about Kenya.
Oh
What
yeah, and then I
happened?
didn't
So
I
you
didn't talk
moved to
about moving to
Greece.
Greece. So I moved to
Yeah.
Greece on a whim, sort of. That was more about what COVID did for my business. But then I was so I was here so the immersion that was supposed to be May 2020 got moved, or 2021 got moved to October 2021. By that time, I was like, fuck it, I'm going. And I actually had filled 2 immersions already. So I had 2 to do. So it was my first time ever doing 2. And I'm a projector, as you know. So that's like intense for me to do. It's not a retreat, it's an intensive. And so at first I was kind of terrified, but I'm like, whatever, I'm going to do it. It's meant to be. So I had 2 immersions with 1 day of rest between the 2, back to back in October 2021. And I went from a month earlier just to be in Greece, be in the energy, because I always felt so different here. And Vancouver always felt kind of dead for me. It's beautiful. It's an amazing city, voted one of the top cities in the world to live in. But for me, I mean, I grew up there. It felt like lifeless. And I always knew I wanted to live somewhere in the Mediterranean. So I went to Greece a month early this time, and just like went to different islands and was in the magic and was communicating with all my clients who were all COVID terrified to fly and to travel. And I was there, sending them videos being like, it's all good. Greece is amazing. Like, did nothing to fear. And that worked out so well. And the 2 immersions of back to back actually were quite amazing. And then following that, I was supposed to leave at the end of October and go back to, actually not back to Vancouver. I was going to Costa Rica for the winter. winter. I'd
Oh,
spent some
yes.
time there earlier that year, and for my 40th birthday, I escaped to Costa Rica, and because COVID was still such a thing, 2021, there were so many rules where I was living, and I was like, get me out of here. So I went to Costa Rica, and I'd fallen in love with Costa Rica. And so I thought, oh, go back there for the winter and then go back to Vancouver. That was my plan. So I go to get on my plane on October 31st, and I get to the airport. I'd upgraded my ticket like for the second time in my life. And I was so excited. I was going to Costa Rica. And I get to the front of the line, and the woman's like, I'm sorry, where are you going? COVID, Greece is a red zone right now. You can't go to. I was actually stopping in LA for a week, or Palm Springs for a week, to meet my mom and dad, and then going to Costa Rica so I could see them before leaving for so long. And the woman's like, you can't go to this America right now. Greece is a red zone. And started crying, and I was like, but I'm Canadian. She said, that doesn't matter. Do you have a green card? No. And she's like, you can't go there. And I couldn't go to Canada because I wasn't vaccinated. So I was like, I would have to quarantine for 2 weeks. I mean, it's so crazy to think that this happened, that whole situation. But
Yes.
regardless, it was divine intervention. So I'm crying, but also simultaneously feeling this like feeling of knowing that something big was about to happen. I didn't know what, but I could feel like, okay, I'm just going to feel my feelings, but also like, what is happening? Went to my friend's house, tried to rebook my ticket to Costa Rica by going through a European city instead of North America. And sure enough, as I'm booking my ticket, my friend's like, Kate, like you love Greece so much. Like, why don't you move to Greece? And I was like, what? And he said she moved to Greece. And I just felt something light up in my body. I'm like, oh my God, that's a great idea. But it's cold here right now. It was November. I'm still going to go to Costa Rica. So I booked my ticket to Costa Rica, but €200 more for a round trip ticket. It was only €200 more. So I booked a round trip ticket coming back March 1st. And I moved to Greece. And people kept saying, but Kate, like you don't have a European passport. You can't just move to Greece. And I was like, oh, I'll figure it out. I trusted so much. I
Yes.
wasn't worried, didn't even think about that. I arrive here and find out they've just initiated the digital nomad visa, which didn't exist before. And
Yes.
I was one of the first people to get it. So I've spent 4 years in Greece, and then magically ended up my bestie and I started doing a few collaborative retreats together in 2023. And she's like called me one day and said, we're going to Kenya. And I was like, Kenya? I've never been to Africa before. And she's like, yeah, we're going to Kenya. I found this magical place called Olapangi Farm. It's a beautiful eco lodge in Kenya, and we have to go and do a retreat there. And I was like, okay. And so 2024 February, we did our first retreat there. A bunch of the women who've been to the immersion came to that. And then we did another one November 2024. My second day in Kenya, I looked out on the ridge, saw giraffes walking across, crying, and I was like, I think I want to live here. And I didn't know that that statement was real, but Kenya kept pulling me back. So it was between last year, 2025, I was really between Greece and Kenya. Ended up spending about 6 months in Kenya in three separate trips, doing three different retreats, and doing an artist in residence program at that same eco lodge, working on my book. And so it kept pulling me back. And then it pulled me back again last September. The owner of this farm invited me to her wedding. And as soon as I got invited, I was like, oh, maybe I'll just get a cottage in Nairobi and just see. Because I met so many people who were living in Nairobi that loved it. And it was very like, a lot of creative people, very interesting people up to really cool things that were living in Nairobi that I met at Olapangi. And so I just was like, let's see if I can find a cute cottage. And I reached out to a man who's friends with the owner of Olapangi, who I met, that said, if you ever need anything in Nairobi, let me know. I just called him and was like, hey, I need a cute cottage. And Karen, here's my price point. Here's what I want, furnished, whatever. And he calls me 2 days later and is like, I found the perfect place for you, darling. And sure enough, I ended up moving into that place. And now I'm there, but I'm in Greece right now. So I'm kind of between both again.
Wow, that's so many events, so many synchronicities,
So
and really,
endless.
and following. The thing is the follow,
Yes.
because
Yes.
sometimes the messages are quite subtle, but and sometimes they're like a kick. For me, moving out of Australia was a big kick out. And things happened. I was kicked out because I was scared to come to France and face all that I had to face.
This is
Uh,
important point because the thing is, we'll get the nudges, and if we don't listen, we'll get kicked. That's when that
yes.
happens.
And so, the nudges were like in 22 when
Yeah.
I went to this Mary Magdalene retreat. And then I was like, oh, I really want to do both. I want to be able to do both. I wanted to come back to France and really share my time. And whichever way I was looking, it wasn't possible. And then, one day I went to Uluru. And after going to Uluru, it was like I was just filled with energy. And I realized I am strong enough and I must go back to Europe to be with my family, because being divorced, not having a family in Australia was very difficult, to not have kin. And then my son who's Australian, and moved to Norway, so I'm closer to him. So that's really, really wonderful. Okay, we've been here for a while. It's lovely. I'm so happy, to listen to your story and to listen to all that has come. And so, if you have like one really advice to give women, and then you talk about, your free gift as well, how they can connect to that. I know quite a few people who connected to you through me and enjoyed, loved, connecting to you. I've I've as well talked to the method and about my sabotage in my first chapter.
Mm.
Sacred Rebel, that's the story of becoming Annabelle and meeting with the saboteur. And I love, I love being able to do that. And so I think the world keeps going, and now more women out there who need to meet with the saboteur. And because you explain really well, and yeah, you're beautiful soul, you hold space. I've had many mentors after you, but you're the only one who really softened to who I was and gave me the space that I needed when I needed. You never pushed. A lot of other people tried to push me, and more pushing, run away. So, I feel very connected to you, and very grateful for all that happened to me after I've met you. I said, you're the woman who changed my life. And
Mm.
it's, yeah, from the bottom of my heart, like, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. So, what is the advice you would give any woman, which any situation then now?
You almost made me cry there. Well, there are tears in my eyes. You're the woman who changed my life, and I want to say you're the woman who changed your life. But I
Yes,
was your guide on that process, because the
yes,
reality is, it's like no matter how much you invest in yourself and what teacher you have, if you're not willing to show up and take those steps and take the risks and do something different,
mm,
right? If you believe the fear over the resonance of your body, you're going to keep getting, if you keep doing what you've always done, you keep getting what you've always got. And you had the courage to follow your heart, kur, over and over and over again, right?
mm,
And to say, and it doesn't mean it's easy, it doesn't mean it feels good all the time. In fact, it feels uncomfortable. When we're growing into who we really are, you're going to feel uncomfortable, because your saboteur's job, your saboteur was hired to keep you small, because that was safe once upon a time, and you did need her as a child. And so this expanded love method work is, and I don't even like calling it work, it's really a lot lighter than work. It's quite playful, but it's about revealing who you thought you were, and becoming, starting to untangle yourself from this small version that you've been trained to be by every, media, social media, but like going back to your childhood, your family system, the school system, the government, your social system, like everything around you has taught you how to behave, and what's right and wrong, what's good and bad. And how many, it's just like shockingly mind blowing, but also not shocking at all, how every woman I meet, is in this small version of herself, and thinking
yes,
it's, oh, this is me. I'm just a perfectionist. I'm just a people pleaser. I'm just a this. I just need to be in control to feel good. And it's like all of these patterns that are actually keeping us in captivity internally, and keeping us in these lives that feel out of alignment with who we really are. I think of the Elizabeth Gilbert in Eat, Pray, Love is the perfect example of what so many women do, staying in a marriage that feels dead, or that they feel dead inside because they checked all the boxes and did life perfectly, and then woke up one day to be like, okay, now I have everything. Like, who the fuck am I, and why am I here, and what is this all for? And the journey of coming home to your heroine and becoming the heroine of your life is learning to untether from that conditioned version of yourself, yourself and getting to know the magic of your own soul. And as you and I both know, the exciting part is the journey never ends. It's like a never ending treasure hunt because we are infinite. We're so much more than we could ever fathom. And it's a treasure hunt to keep uncovering all of these beautiful parts of ourselves. And life leads us to the next teacher, to the next experience, to the next place that we're meant to go. I think of who I am now versus when I met you is like I'm like a completely new woman and I live in Africa. I never even wanted to go to Africa. Now I live there and I'm obsessed with Kenyan people. Like I am obsessed with Kenya. I love it so much. I've never been more grounded and happier and yet I was also very, I was very expanded when I met you in another way, that version of myself.
Yes, and so much expansion, so much expansion. Um, wow, I just lost my thought now, but yeah, what I wanted to say about, this morning I was thinking about religion and about the being saved by someone, and because I realized at some point that in my marriage I was waiting to be saved by someone. And to saved by my husband or by somebody else, you were my guide, but at the end of the day, I had to do the work and to save myself.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's very, very important too. But we are very much programmed to be waiting for someone else. The
Yes.
helpers, self-help or whatever other helpers, In France, everybody goes to the therapist and this therapist is better and go to that one. You have to book 2 months in advance. But no one when I talk to them and I say, what about doing the work yourself and doing all that you can
Mm.
to be well and to really find yourself? And oh no, that's too hard. We just don't.
Yes, but then you're just like often if you only stay in something like therapy, and there's a time and a place for therapy. This is not to put it down, but
Yes.
often a lot of like old school therapists that you end up
Yes.
stuck in this story and you end up attached to all these labels that are actually limiting you. And the power, that's my favorite part of the expanded love method that I've been doing for the last 10 years is the power of when we can become our own healer, our own divine mother, our own divine lover, our own divine guide through learning how to have that relationship with these different aspects of yourself. Nothing like it expands your capacity to navigate absolutely everything and to create a life that you love. And even the life that you love, I think of like manifesting. I've been seeing a lot of people teaching manifesting right now, and it's like we manifesting is like we think we still have to control the journey. It's like you don't have there is a life for you that you can't. I couldn't manifest the life I have now because my past self that was so limited didn't know that all of these things that I'm now experiencing are things that I would absolutely love. So when we surrender to the life that's meant for us and learn to live from the soul and from the heart of who you are, not from your conditioned self, I mean, the life that's meant for you will satiate you beyond any story or script of who you've been taught to be.
Yes, and every day, being in the now, every day is done. And what I tell my clients is like when you start your journey, you already get there. You're already there. Now just enjoy every day.
Yes.
There is nowhere to go because people have all these goals and somewhere to go, and I'm like, there is nowhere to go.
Mm.
You just move. You move, but the most important is presence with yourself, to who you are, where you're at, and what you need in time, and to not let other make decision for you as well.
Mhm.
So, oh my God, Kate, so you're in Greece now doing immersion, and then
Yes, I'm
what's
in
next
Corfu.
this year? What's next this year?
Corfu, and then I'm going to be in Athens for one day. Then I'll be in Paris with you
Yes.
for a night, a couple nights, and then I'll be back in Nairobi, and then I'll be in North America in the summer. What's next for me? I mean, what do you mean? In what way? Like in my work or in?
Yeah, in your life and your work, like
Yes.
it's
I
all
mean,
open.
I'm doing some collaborative, definitely more retreats. I didn't plan on keep doing Kenya retreats, but now the women I work with are like, we want more. We want to come to
Yes.
Kenya. And now an Egypt retreat is unfolding. Kenya is unfolding. A Japan retreat. I'm taking women or
Yes.
taking a group to Okinawa with two of my friends. We're doing a magical deep frequency realignment healing retreat in Okinawa, which is a blue zone, the island off of, it's like the Hawaii of Japan and Kyoto. So that's
Mhm.
coming up. It's just a lot. Life is bringing me to, I'm like, I'm probably going to end up in India sometime soon because I just keep going to all these different corners of the world. And I'm like, oh, I had zero not knowing that that was coming. So that's exciting.
Yes, very exciting. Wonderful. Okay, so thank you so much, keep doing what you do very well. Keep changing lives. And please, I'll put everything in the comments so you can go and follow Kate. Kate has a gift for us. So what's the gift?
Oh yeah, the saboteur mini course. It's that where you learn the five saboteur archetypes. Definitely go check out the New Truth podcast because that's
Yes.
a great. That's where I
Yes.
hang out the most. There's like 300 and something episodes,
Yes.
um, but from the last 5.5 years. But the gift is the saboteur mini course where you'll learn about the five saboteur archetypes that keep you trapped in that conditioned saboteur self, and it's very eye opening. It's quite amazing. So click the link below, and you can also follow me on Instagram and find it there. The unscriptedwoman.com is my website, and Kate Harlow, the unscripted woman, on Instagram.
Very good. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you
And
for having me, Beauty.
see you very soon, actually. I'm so looking forward. We're gonna
See you in
plan.
Paris.
Yes.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.